It is a brand new episode of Flyers Daily here on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Flyers Daily, as always, is brought to you by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. I'm Brian Smith in today for Jason Myrtetus as the Flyers come off this overtime loss in Pittsburgh. Shout out to some support to Jason, by the way, real quick. On your Twitter files or however you like to reach out to him. He has reached the halfway point now on these chemo treatments that he's undergoing. But on the flip side now, on the down slope of that part of this, but need a little extra rest today. So I'm sure he'll be back with us very soon on the flip side of this weekend. Flyers again in Pittsburgh last night, and it is one of those games that stings. There's no question about it. You go up 3-0 anytime in the NHL. You want to make sure you button that up, but that's the way the league is these days. It used to be the 2-goal lead was the worst lead in hockey, and it probably still is, but a 3-goal lead is certainly not insurmountable anymore either, with the way that these teams are scoring as of late, and it's been every effort by the National Hockey League to increase scoring and make things exciting, and sometimes you end up on the short end of that, and that's what happened to the Flyers in this contest. Again, did go up 3-0. Really, it was a game where that 3-0 lead probably wasn't as huge a lead as it might have seemed, because Pittsburgh, after not getting a shot on goal for the first almost 15 minutes of this game, had 6 shots in the final 5 minutes of the first period, and Sam Ersson had to make perhaps 3 of his best saves of the season in just that 5-minute stretch. So he was the only reason that that game wasn't tied after the first period. But that's probably of little solace to the Flyers when they look back on this one. But obviously, as always, had a chance to catch up with head coach John Tortorella after the game, along with the rest of the media, looking for his perspective on this particular game, and this is what he had to say. John, is this one of those games where you try to take the good things out of it and just ride that momentum into Winnipeg here?
Other than 7 or 8 minutes, we did a lot of good things. Our third period was really good. Even when they scored to tie it early, I thought we took over the third period. So it's not one of those games you say, I really liked a lot of things that went on.
Is there any update on Garnett?
No, I don't have an update.
Was there any explanation from the referees why they changed it?
The explanation was it was not a hit to the head on the hit, that he hit his head on the ice, and that's why there's a 2-minute penalty. It's probably one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in quite a while. That's why he hits his head on the ice. I believe we should be thinking about what really happened on the hit, not get glued on a hit to the head originally. That's a dangerous, cheap hit. And I just don't know. Freddie gave me the explanation, and I understand the explanation, but I don't understand how you end up with 2 minutes on probably one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in quite a while.
Do you think it was hard for the team to refocus after seeing that?
No. I thought we played, if you watch the game, we played a good game. Other than the 7 or 8 minutes, Bobby gives up one, we give one for free, they score off a face-off. We come back and score on our power play. 7 or 8 minutes, we lost ourselves playing basically a 3-quarter game, turning some pucks over. But Malkin scores to tie it in the third, and then I thought we took over the third.
That's 3 games in a row now where you've gotten a goal in the first 4 minutes of the first period. How important has that been in just kind of setting the tone for these games over the last 3?
Yeah, we wanted to come in on our toes. We beat them pretty good in our building. We figured they'd really come out hard tonight. We wanted to answer by us dictating the play, and I thought the first period was a really good period as far as what we need to do coming into an away building in a back-to-back game against them.
This is the second straight game where you've had a bunch of goals in the second period, and we've talked over the season about how there's been some struggles in the second periods with the long line changes and whatnot. They do get 3 also, but how important is it for you guys to get on the board in that period?
Yeah, we're trying to concentrate on it. The number one thing we're trying to concentrate on is not get beat with our changes. We're trying to keep our weak side D, our weak side forward on the ice if you have to play tired until we have the right time to change. We've had some situations where we've had all 5 guys come to the bench. And, it happens. It happens to a lot of teams. We're just trying to cure our second period woes there.
John, did you think there was intent to injure? You called it dirty. From your standpoint, did it look like there was intent to injure on that hit?
I don't think the player is trying to hurt a player. I'm certainly not going to accuse him of that. It's a cheap hit, though. Garney hits, I think, Achari there. I think it's a good legal hit. I think he's trying to hit back, but the puck's nowhere there. It's a blind hit, but I'm not accusing the guy of trying to hurt him, but it's a dirty hit.
So again, mostly a positive response from the head coach. And, he mentioned a couple of things there. There are definitely learning moments that are going to happen in the young careers of some of these players. Bobby Brink has his stick lifted on one of the Penguins' goals there in the second period, and Matvei Michkov does kind of just lose track a little bit in the 3-on-3 of Evgeny Malkin. And, those are little mistakes that are going to happen from time to time in games, especially with young players. And for both of those, you can imagine that it's going to be a lesson that gets inserted in their textbooks that these guys build over the course of their careers. Every young player makes mistakes as they go through the National Hockey League, and it's going to be something that nobody's ever perfect, but they're definitely going to remember those particular situations down the road, and that's what this team is doing right now, is developing some of these young guys right here at the NHL level. Obviously, Matvei Michkov with a fantastic game apart from that, and showed a lot of reasons for Flyers fans to continue to be excited about him. Again, some games ending late last night, but as of the end of the Flyers game, nobody had more points in the NHL since the resumption of the schedule after Four Nations than Matvei Michkov. So certainly a lot to be excited about there. He's one of those guys we were looking at to see how he would look coming out of the break, because he was very worn down. You could just tell at the end of January, the whole team really was pretty worn down after that very rough month of travel and a lot of games in there. There's a lot of games in March too, but they're kind of laid out a little bit better. So we were hoping that that we would see Michkov come out and kind of have a renewed energy, a renewed sense of compete and everything that was successful for him in the fall. And I think we really have seen that here through the first three games. So we'll see how this continues here through the month of March. John Tortorella, of course, also talking about the hit on Garnet Hathaway that knocked him out of the game. And really, I think a lot of the same kind of stuff we talked about during the radio broadcast, if you had a chance to catch that with myself, Timmy, and Fridge. A hit that was, again, not what caused Hathaway's injury. He goes down, he hits the side of his head on the ice. There's no question about that. The full discretion is on the referee, whether he wants to make that a major or a minor. It is in the rule book described as that discretion is, up to the referee based on the degree of violence of the hit. And, you heard John Tortorella there mention that, they told him that the hit itself did not raise to the standard to call a major in their eyes. I do believe personally, in looking at that you should consider the result in that situation, because, obviously if that hit's not thrown, that end result is not happening. And even if it is an interference situation where Hathaway even sees the hit coming, he's going to be able to brace himself, at least prepare for it. But in that particular instance, a completely defenseless position, did not see it coming at all, and that's what contributes to the outcome there. So certainly all our best to Garnet Hathaway, and hopeful that he's going to make a quick recovery. Flyers did not have any information on him after the game other than that he was not going to return and he was being evaluated. So that evaluation process, I'm sure, will continue here until the Flyers head off to Winnipeg. They are flying later today. Spent the night in Pittsburgh, so that was at least an easier situation for Hathaway as far as trying to figure out the severity of things and see how he feels. But they're going to fly to Winnipeg on Friday, and we'll take on the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. And that game is going to be a 7 p.m. start for you in the East. It's 6 p.m. Central, but a 7 p.m. start for the Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets. The Flyers will not skate between now and that game, so they're going to be pretty well rested, at least from an on-ice standpoint. It is a relatively long day of travel for the Flyers on Friday. They'll have a little bit of a time change thing, but really from their body clocks perspective, it's going to be almost exactly what they're used to without a morning skate on Saturday, because it is a 7 p.m. start time in the East. So, hopefully they're going to be in a good mindset. And again, the kind of the reaction from John Tortorella there after the game, kind of what I was thinking it would be, is that apart from the outcome, they like the game, and you want to just take the positives from that game and try to build them up here against the Winnipeg Jets team that is obviously red hot. They did finally lose to Nashville last night. Winnipeg had an 11-game winning streak coming into the contest against Nashville, and the Flyers were staring that right in the face as they prepared to go there, but somebody else broke it up for them. They are not going to have to be the ones to try to quiet down the Winnipeg Jets, although they're certainly going to be, I'm sure, a little bit miffed that the streak ended. But obviously all streaks are going to come to an end at one point or another, and it really doesn't change the fact that Winnipeg is red hot right now. The one thing about that game that the Flyers will probably try to continue is that Nashville held Winnipeg to just one goal in that contest. So, it's again a red hot Winnipeg team right now. That 11-game winning streak is a franchise record for this team that goes, of course, back to the old Atlanta Thrashers. But again, a first loss for Winnipeg since January the 20th. That's a pretty impressive run. They lost January 20th to Utah and had not dropped a game since. So, who knows? Flyers, you could call it catching them at the right time. Sometimes you get lucky in that regard, but I'm sure one loss does not necessarily quiet down a team like the Winnipeg Jets. But again, one goal on 24 shots. They did 14 shots in the second period, but the Flyers will look to continue to cool off the Winnipeg Jets. I guess just a little bit more first on the Flyers performance before we wrap up here. Again, they outshot Pittsburgh in this game. 37-25 was the final shot total. Flyers had 14 shots in each of the second and third periods. And again, they held Pittsburgh without a shot on goal for the first 14:40 of that contest. And when you look at how the Flyers are operating as of late, they now have 16 goals in their last 3 games. So you certainly can't argue with that. And, again, it's a Pittsburgh team that was coming into this game probably thinking to themselves, okay, it's time for us to end this. They had suffered a couple of rather embarrassing losses at home before the trip to Philadelphia on Tuesday. And they even got kind of Bronx cheered by their own fans when that first shot on goal finally hit 15 minutes into the first period. But it is a funny game sometimes, and it only took 30 seconds for that 3-0 lead to turn into a 3-2 lead, and that is today's NHL. So it was again a frustrating night for the Flyers, just in terms of wanting to get that second point out of this one, but still some good things going on for this team right now that they'll carry into this game against Winnipeg. Just want to remind you, when the Flyers do come back after this Winnipeg game, they're going to be home for 2 weeks. It is a 7-game homestand starting on Tuesday against the Calgary Flames, as Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost come back with their new team. And then Winnipeg comes right back next Thursday for a return engagement. So the Flyers have to play 2 of 3 here against Winnipeg on this next part of their schedule. So they're going to have to certainly be ready to go. And then the Flyers are going to have a back-to-back weekend matinee next weekend at Wells Fargo Center. The Seattle Kraken coming in for a 12:30 start on Saturday, followed by the New Jersey Devils for a 1 p.m. start on Sunday. So that's the front half of this homestand. Back half includes Claude Giroux and the Ottawa Senators coming to town, and just lots of great matchups in this 7-game homestand. So tickets, of course, are available via Ticketmaster at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. Would love to have you come out for part of or all of this 7-game homestand coming up for the Flyers after this Winnipeg game. That's going to do it for this edition of Flyers Daily. Again, I'm Brian Smith, in for Jason Myrtetus, sending our best to him. Hopefully we're going to have him back before too long on the front half of next week. But until then, enjoy the games, and we'll see you soon.